Couchbase Presents Futureproofing the Data Strategy in association with Moneycontrol.
Hello and welcome to Couchbase Presents Futureproofing the Data Strategy in association with Moneycontrol. I'm Mridu Bhandari and today we are diving into a theme that's everywhere. In boardrooms, in brainstorms, and now in your webinar feed. We are calling it the AI way from hype to practical value. Artificial intelligence has gone from being a buzz term to business strategy. But here's the catch. According to a recent PwC survey, nearly 84% of companies globally say AI will give them a competitive edge, but less than 20% have actually scaled it successfully beyond pilot projects. Why? Because somewhere between hype and implementation, we hit roadblocks, from messy data foundations to regulation puzzles, from proof of concept fatigue to talent gaps. And as AI moves from experimentation to enterprise core, every organization, whether in banking, insurance, or manufacturing, is asking, how do we make AI truly work for us? That's what we are decoding today, not just the technology, but the strategy, structure, and discipline that turns AI from a promise into measurable business impact. And to do that, we have with us four stellar leaders shaping the AI narrative in their respective sectors. Gaurav Chaudhary, CTO of Reliance General Insurance. Rajesh Chaudhary, CIO of CSB Bank. Aruj Gopal, Regional Business Leader at Couchbase. And Ninad Raje, Group CIO at Jaquar and Company. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. Let's begin by breaking some myths around artificial intelligence. And Gaurav, if I may start with you. Now, every organization wants to jump on the AI bandwagon, but not all get it right. What are some of the most common misconceptions about AI adoption that you've seen both within tech teams and within leadership that perhaps time and experience have helped you dispel?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I think the first area which one needs to understand is, like in any tech-driven rollout which happens, whether it was blockchain some time ago or the like, there is an S-curve which is there. Okay, first there's the hype cycle, and then of course reality dawns, and over time you'll see that the adoption increases. Along with the adoption, of course, comes the fact that companies mature, companies understand what AI brings to the table, and also the fact that the funding comes in. That's the most important. And once companies, the boards, and the management realizes that there is going to be a tangible benefit which comes along with this, that is when you really see the rubber hitting the road. And of course, companies trying to not only adopt but adopt at large scale. So that, in a nutshell, is what every company needs to be careful about. That do not ride the hype wave. Be careful in selecting your use cases. Pick up use cases where you feel that the company is not, really going to put in a lot of moolah, and it turns out that things are not working out. So you have to pick your use cases, you pick your battles, and then you try and roll them out. And once the strategy is solidified, you've seen the use cases work, that is when you start to go to the next phase.
Right. Okay. Important to pick the battles. Rajesh, if I can come to you next. In banking, where compliance and customer trust are really non-negotiable, where do you see AI bringing the most value today? And how do you make sure that it's more than just a headline, that it's actually moving the needle when it comes to operations or when it comes to risk management?
Well, Mridu, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody. Banking is dealing with public money, so we are very cautious about looking at every technology we adopt to ensure that we are compliant. There is a very strong uh, compliance regime, and that's what we are doing from the artificial intelligence adoption perspective as well. If we look at AI, I think it has got very strong potential, and at a board level, at an executive level, we are discussing various aspects. So areas like customer acquisition, for example, areas like customer services, for example, HR, for example, operations. These are some of the areas where we feel that it can add tremendous value. We are in the initial stages of adoption uh, from AI perspective, and we have created certain use cases which we are working on at this point of time. While working on this, we are also engaging with other banks, other financial institutions to see how their POCs have resulted, and we are taking some feedback from each other to ensure that we are successful and we learn from each other.
Right. Good to lay down that context. And you spoke of use cases. We'll come to those in just a bit. Also, bringing in Aruj at this point. Today, many enterprises, especially in the financial services industry, are really juggling legacy core technologies with modern digital and agile solutions. Now, how can these enterprises really ensure that systems perform optimally? What strategies and resources are really essential to achieve high performance across this technology mix? Because it is difficult for legacy organizations to go through a full-blown digital transformation, isn't it?
Yes, thanks, Pradha, and glad to be a part of this panel. Now, well, organizations aren't really short of data, and we all agree that it has been exponentially growing for businesses, right? And the challenge is not that the data is growing, but it lies in the fact that it's fragmented and siloed, across multiple channels, services, and units. Now, most of the banks, as far as my conversations have been, and enterprises, still operate on monolithic, vertically scaled architectures that are very difficult to scale, expensive to maintain, and have very limitations in terms of performance that they get out of those systems. Lack of active clustering, replication, flexibility, real-time responsiveness. These are all very essential aspects, which every organization looks for today. So they're practically involved, but the future looks very different. So as what we suggest, right? So replacing the core immediately, is not what we actually suggest, right? So in fact, there are two different paths that we look at. Once a customer or an enterprise is juggling with legacy systems, is either you re-platform, modernize, and both leading to simplifying your current architectures. And maybe some of the examples that I can take is Amadeus, the world's largest travel platform. They literally re-platformed from Oracle and Memcache to Couchbase, so where they're now today doing 20 million operations per second and have managing about 180 plus terabytes of data with about 2.5 sub-millisecond. So in short, I mean, typically we look at re-platforming or we modernize it by having one database that caters to many other data services that an enterprise would be really looking at.
Great, thank you. Thank you for those insights, and also bringing in Ninad at this point. Now, Ninad, you've often said that AI should augment, not replace human capability. When you're scaling AI-led systems in a legacy manufacturing setup, what kind of guardrails are you really putting in to ensure that automation doesn't undermine trust? Now, whether it's trust with employees, whether it's trust with customers, how do you really ensure that trust remains intact even as you automate entire processes and even the manufacturing shop floor for that matter?
Thank you, Madhur. It's always a pleasure to be a part of these kind of talk shows. It just really helps our own learning, and it feels absolutely brilliant to be sharing these kind of anecdotes with the larger audience as well. So thank you so much, and a good afternoon to everybody. You actually asked a very pertinent sort of question in terms of the human AI combined. So how does one build trustworthy system? And that's where the human comes into picture. I've always sort of believed AI should rather augment human intelligence, not really replace it at all. Trust comes from A, transparency, B, accountability, and of course, the most important is a human in the loop at every critical sort of juncture. So you spoke about the guardrails. So the guardrails we put in place are very clear. In fact, I always talk about these guardrails. First and foremost, we should have this ethical framework to eliminate bias. That comes first. The second is, of course, the data. Data lineage to trace every single model decision. And most importantly, I would put it this way. Involving humans, not excluding them. Because if I may put it this way, honestly, if your AI starts, imagine if your AI starts scheduling your vacation without asking you, it's time to hit the brakes, right? So that is, you need to kind of plan your own vacations. So just to kind of give an example, I incubated a AI workshop within our organization. We are clearly a manufacturing organization. So when I incubated this, obviously we had this couple of brilliant scientists, data scientists, and AI engineers come in, and all they were doing is they're toying around with AI, and obviously they were failing. So when I actually looked into it, and I observed that they are only talking about AI, they're trying to experiment AI, but there was no human element at all. So what we did is, I in fact instructed them to make sure that they involve humans. So we got in a lot of departments, there were a lot of other functions coming on board, and that actually really helped our entire project. And now we can proudly say that, okay, we have not only started our journey in AI, but I think we have got into an era wherein we have really tasted blood in terms of results and outcome of this AI. We are enjoying this fruits of AI and the outcomes within the manufacturing industry. So I really believe that AI and human, they go hand in hand. Humans cannot do away with AI in today's day and age, and AI obviously is not going to be successful without the human interaction, human intervention, as always.
Well, absolutely, absolutely well said. And I'm going to come back to use cases with all of you. But Gaurav, at this point, let's also talk a little bit about the insurance sector in particular, which operates in one of the most tightly regulated environments. So how do data regulations really influence the pace of AI deployment? Does it get impacted? Does it slow you down? And how does Reliance General Insurance design for agility, given that regulatory frameworks are going to be constantly evolving?
Very good question. See, what one needs to identify upfront is areas where your decision making impacts the customer or impacts decision making or not, and of course impacts the fact that there is going to be a downstream decision being made based on the tools which you use. And if the decisions which are made are using incorrect data and the guardrails are not there, or the controls are not adequately placed, then of course there's an impact on the thing. So of course what we try and do is that we first try and automate areas, or pick up areas where the impact is lesser on impacted areas, which can impact the customer, or the regulations, or the fact that some decision making is tuned or augmented by AI, and pick up areas where we can gain efficiencies in operational activities. For example, we have automated areas where the documents which are read, of course, OCR is old technology, and build a context based on that, and based on that you take certain basic decision making. As Ninad said, we have to ensure that there is a human around in order to validate that the decisions which are being made are not getting run away with the and getting mixed with biases which they have done. For example, a lot of claims which come in, a lot of the claims which come in, whether it is a motor claim or a health claim, we can automate some decision making on the basis of the fact that the documents which have come in, it's very easy for an AI or an LLM model for it to understand and to take context-based decisioning. But we have not ventured down that stream yet. What we are doing is we are augmenting the decision-making of the claim manager in order for him to take decisions which are there. And of course, checking the sources of data is very important. So in case we are analyzing a health claim, for instance, we will, of course, make sure that the LLMs which are used for that are from certified sources, from medical sources, medical textbooks. So we don't get biases, which are, of course, they are available in the internet. So those are kind of things we have to ensure that the decision making is appropriate and not impacting. Because of course tomorrow we have to justify that the same decision to the regulators as well, to the customers, to the clients, and so on and so forth.
Right, absolutely. And adding banking to that, uh, thank you, Gaurav, for giving us that overview regarding regulations as far as insurance is concerned. Now, banking as well walks that regulatory tightrope. So, CSB is a relatively new entrant as far as large scale digitalization is concerned. Rajesh, how are you turning that late start into a definite advantage? Are there mistakes made by other early adopters that you are consciously avoiding?
Well, I think all of us have learnings from different phases of our lives. So, of course, we have got a lot of information which is available in the public domain, and we are definitely making good use of that in CSB Bank's SBS 2030 strategy, the strategy what we are executing at this point of time. As a bank, while we are 105-year-old, but at the same time, we call ourselves a 100-year-old startup. So we are rebuilding everything from scratch in the bank. So the entire technology stack has been created afresh. So this has been done over the last 3 years. So we have got the right foundation in place, be it from core banking perspective, payment systems, channels, data centers, HR system, compliance system, finance system, risk system. So we have got a good foundation, and the time is absolutely ripe to put different experience layer for our customer, for our employees likewise. And this is the right time for us to explore technologies like AI appropriately to ensure that we can give different experience to our customers and different experience to our staff. But while we talk about giving experience, business is important. So, and we have seen from the history that technology becomes relevant only when it starts making significant contribution in the revenue and the profit line. So we are asking that question that while we are focusing on uh, the different elements, does it have the right potential to generate revenue for the bank? And that's what is leading us to the use cases. And we are asking ourselves that uh, can AI be used for underwriting, for example? And there are mixed responses what we have seen. We are asking question that what areas of customer acquisition we can do using AI. Can AI be used uh, doing complete digital online acquisition for the retail customers? To what extent it can be used for small and medium enterprises? And these are the use cases, these are the areas what we are exploring. Some of these are in the advanced stages, but at the same time, we are hit certain roadblocks also because we are not sure if there are all the answers known at this point of time. And then we are going back to the OEM, we are going back to uh, anybody and everybody who may have the answer. And what we have seen is that uh, not everybody has all the answer. They're also searching for those answers. But I think customer service, operations, HR, these are definitely are the areas which we strongly believe that there is strong potential. Revenue generating use cases, I think we are still in the exploratory stage, and only the time will tell what is the art of possible.
Right, that's well said. Rajesh, you spoke about roadblocks. So, give us a sense of what's the biggest roadblock you've hit when it comes to deploying AI and moving it beyond a pilot project and thinking about scaling it up.
I think one of the major issue is data and the data quality. What we have seen is that being a bank or being any enterprise for that matter, you've got a number of application, number of databases, and your data is scattered across different application, different data warehouses, different data marts, and the logic what has been applied in these databases is uh, relatively different because these applications were bought or adopted at the different stages of the banking life cycle, our journey. And the schemas are different, the way the data templates are, those are different. And when we are trying to bring all of this data together and trying to make this information talk to each other and come in a synchronized way for these use cases, it is working out to be a difficult task. And at the same time, we have to keep in mind the regulations associated with the customer data, PII information. We have to ensure that every information is masked, every information is encrypted while we are making use of that information. So that's another area where we are working. But we believe that if we are able to solve the data issue, data quality issue, uh, I think we would have made a big journey in making what AI can do for us.
Right. Data quality is clearly an issue. And Ninad, I want you to chime in on that as well, because you've often spoken about data hygiene, but let's go one step deeper. Let's talk about data discipline. How do you really enforce data discipline across teams and plants in a large manufacturing organization? Any lessons or frameworks that have definitely worked for you?
Data discipline, obviously in legacy manufacturing, right? So now that one's very close to my heart. Let's talk about data hygiene and data discipline. Data hygiene is cleansing the data. It's just cleansing the data. However, data discipline, that's cleaning the behavior itself. Now, you spoke about the legacy plants, right? Legacy plants often have sensors that don't talk to each other, formats that don't even match, and of course, most importantly, people who say we have always done it our way and this is the only way. And whereas I tell my teams, you know what, data entry isn't clerical, it's strategic. Because as far as I know, data builds insight, and insights obviously drive improvement. And I also remind them data is like brushing our teeth. Skip it for a few days and everybody will know about it. So data is very prime, but discipline around data is the most critical sort of element. I just wanted to also give an example. We have this great huge plant across the globe, right? Few things are India, few things overseas, and data is all scattered. So what we did as an experiment is, before building AI, we wanted to consolidate this entire data piece. So we actually carved out something which is like a TB of data from the devices, the assets that we have, IoT devices in the plants, and we consolidated it from different kind of plants and different types, and the results were really really different, and it was really eye catching as well. So we spend a lot of time on data sanitization. However, we spend a lot of time on data discipline in terms of changing the behavior. How do you look at the data? How do you mine that data? Where do we keep that data? What are the cuts and slices that we need? And then once this data discipline was sort of understood and galvanized, we went and fed it to the AI engine, and we had very startling results as such. We did a as is and a to be concept, wherein the initial as is concept just gave us like 10-12% of results. The moment we consolidated data, brought in this data discipline and behavior, then we fed it to AI, the results were almost like 70-72%. So I really believe that it's a combination of data hygiene, but most importantly, it's data discipline, cleansing the behavior of all our people.
Right. Well, interesting that you say that. Let me also bring in Aruj at this point. Now, with mammoth data sizes, with complex multi-cloud, multi-database setups, how are financial organizations really ensuring scalability, efficiency, agility? What has your experience been? What approaches and technologies are they really adopting to navigate some of these challenges that the other panelists have already spoken about?
Sure, Nida. Thanks. Uh, well, if you look at the FSI and definitely the enterprises landscape today, right? The biggest challenge is, as I'm aligned to everybody's inputs, and glad I was able to hear that, data is sitting in different sources, systems siloed, and obviously getting a logical outcome out of those data is one of the biggest problems today. It's across different clouds, different databases, different geographies eventually, right? The challenge is, like, maybe for a bank, we need fraud detection, ML analytics to happen right at the edge where data is created, not just go back in the core systems, and the response times are slower. At the same time, we're dealing with too many data services, which adds integrations overhead, cost, and as well as complexity. And mostly, and it's rightly said, everybody has legacy systems today which don't scale very easily, and we can't keep throwing hardware at them, and data sprawl and heavy ETL pipelines. It's actually killing the performance that any enterprise that's really looking at today. So most of the organization today is also dealing with unpredictable growth, right? And finally, cost, right? Maintaining everything with the high demand, paying peak prices even when systems are idle, it's a big challenge. So what's really needed is actually a nimble, flexible database that works seamlessly with both legacy as well as modern applications, right? Without, in fact, breaking the existing system. As I said, we either re-platform or modernize, but modernize is a much more simpler way of how we look at it. And Couchbase aligns pretty much from a scalability standpoint. We can scale across regions, clouds, channels. To address this, we provide like a distributed horizontal scalable architectures where we can handle millions of transactions per second, aligned to how the organizations are growing today, right? Uh, from an efficiency standpoint, we're doing more with less. We understand that there are, for basic fundamental application requirements, we're using many data services, right? You would actually want to have one data platform which is unified across transactional, caching for performance, analytical. You're able to do full text search. You're able to run AI vector workloads, and all of that running on a single engine. And of course, which eventually is helping you into launching new digital experiences faster, because you don't really need to explore any new data service. So Couchbase, at the outset, considering being a multi-model, uh, we are able to cater from transactions to analytics, and in fact now to vector or AI, on a single platform itself.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been talking a lot about data. I'm also going to add the layer of culture, of people to this, because organizations, of course, are made up of people. Gaurav, if I may come to you now, as the insurance sector moves towards a more intelligent, adaptive future, how does that really change the nature of data architectures and organizational culture? Do you see decision making becoming more decentralized, powered by data at every level? What are the things that have changed within your organization?
I think that's the most difficult aspect of any area and any adoption, which is change, and that's been, of course, it's an uphill battle, because you have to ensure that everybody is on board first of all, from the top down, especially the board, and the fact that there are compliances which need to be followed. And over and above that, you have to ensure that whatever area you're touching, that the entire vertical, uh, understands the implications of that, understands the compliance challenges around that, and of course, then comes the adoption. Building a solution is fine. A lot of times, this challenges with adoption, where we can make things happen. Same thing. This like computerization 2.0, where everybody is resisting the change at the beginning, and once they see the value, and that's where they jump onto the bandwagon. But that takes time. I think the adoption curve is a slow battle. Uh, People trying to just figure out how vast and capable this the AI adoption is itself a journey. And we at our company, we are trying to make sure that from the board downwards, we make the right noises, make sure that people understand the capabilities, even at the management level, the capabilities have to be understood at each and every department. A claims AI journey is completely different from our underwriting journey. Same thing maybe goes for our operations and services, customer services. So each area needs to be brought on board. Each department needs to understand the pros and cons of each of the things they are adopting. For example, we have taken image analytics as one of the challenges, and we started about 2 years back, and in the midst the LLMs came in, and now we are of course changing the vendors and changing the way we are doing it, basically, which is understanding the damage of a car based on the inputs which are coming, whether it's video or a photograph. And depending on the damages and depending on the thing, this augments the claim manager's role. Of course, in some cases, we have automated it also. For example, where it's a yes or a no decision. For example, breakage to a windscreen, value add which a claim manager can do in that. So some adoptions are picking up fast, especially areas where operational activity is there, and then it is easier to sell. But wherever there is complex decision making, for example, underwriting is complex decision making, there is where the challenge comes in, and where we have to be very cautious. And of course, the people also acceptance is there, because human element is involved.
Yes, absolutely. Rajesh, coming to you with that now, when we talk about designing data pipelines for scale, what are some of the vulnerabilities you've had to be especially mindful of, whether in terms of, talent, in terms of tech, in terms of data vulnerabilities, any specific challenges you've faced at CSB Bank, and how have you really tackled them?
Well, we are still in the journey, and we are going through that process. And as I said, the challenges are numerous. Some of those you alluded yourself. So bringing all the type of data together. So we have got applications which are significantly dated. We have got customers who have done banking with us for 3 generations, and the data as old as that, sitting in different kind of databases, and making sense from all of that, because ultimately these are the customers for whom we are going to do banking with, has been a very, very difficult task. At the same time, getting the right talent. So, of course, we have got databases, we have got database administrators, but those are like nowhere close to what you need for this. So you need a lot of analytical capability. You need a lot of data science into this. So we have got some of those. So a fresh team has been built, a new team has been built, addressing different elements of data. Then, of course, comes the technology. Like, what are you going to use for creating end-to-end solution? And when we started looking at what could be the right solution for end-to-end, and no one or two technologies were able to address the entire picture right from the beginning till the end. So there are at least 8 or 9 different technologies which are coming together, playing the role, and taking us to the different outcomes what we want to generate. It's a long work, a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, a lot of good people, a lot of investment, all of that coming together, and then creating that magic. And even after doing that hard work, if you don't get that outcome what you're dreaming of, that's not a great experience. But you will go through those stages. So some of the use cases, like, we tried, didn't give us the desired result, but just need to keep looking at what learnings you have, and then keep going for the another one. And of course, we have got partners like Couchbase and many more in the industry who are there to help and guide, and we take their guidance and keep looking for the better outcome.
Right, indeed. Time, patience, and all of that to be done at a speed, because technology is continuously evolving. In fact, This year, the buzz term is agentic AI. So, Ninad, let me come to you with that. Now, when businesses start embedding autonomous agents and generative AI into their everyday operations, what kind of hurdles tend to surface? Whether we talk about technology, we talk about talent, or we talk about organizational readiness. And at Jaguar, are you talking about Gen AI? Have you reached agentic AI yet? Any explorations happening in these fields?
Well, Mridul, I mean, the world is going abuzz with generative AI, and of course, now the new avatar, the new kid in the on the block is the agentic AI and the AI agents, right? So, yes, in fact, we are toying with both aspects, both Gen AI as well as agentic AI as well. And when we are trying to experiment and we are trying to sort of implement certain initiatives, there are bound to be bottlenecks. There will be bound to be hurdles as well. Now, in my opinion, in our experience, the biggest technical bottleneck, I'll split it into two sections, right? One is a technical bottleneck, and the second is the organizational bottleneck. Now, the biggest technical bottleneck, that is what I have observed, is the fragmented data. I'm sure everybody agrees to this. The second, rather the larger one, is the organizational bottleneck. Now, the organizational bottleneck is nothing but fragmented mindset. You know, everyone wants AI magic. Like AI is the new magic wand, but without fixing the data plumbing first. If you don't fix the data and the plumbing, obviously AI is not going to be doing any kind of magic. That's like, let me try and give you an analogy. That's like trying to run a Formula One on village roads, right? You need a track before the turbo. So obviously the bottlenecks, and of course I've seen companies dreaming of chat GPT level intelligence, while still running Excel. You can't just have this. Now let's fix the pipes before we invite the genie in the room. So I would suggest that the biggest thing element in this is the organizational fragmented mindset. We have to make sure, and I keep talking about this. To me, technology is the easier kill. To be very honest, it is the organizational mindset, the culture. Mridul, you spoke about the culture as well. So the behavior and the mindset has to change. It is not about AI, and just because everybody is jumping in the bandwagon, even we have to jump into the bandwagon and make sure that it is successful. It can only be successful if our mindset changes. We bring in AI only if and when our data is appropriate in relevant places. B, we are looking at outcomes and results which are not quick, but we need to have patience. We need to give it some time. We need to do some experiments. We should be ready to fail. And of course, if we are failing, we fail fast, but then we move on. And I mean, even the largest of scientists doing a lot of coming up with a lot of breakthroughs, they have gone ahead and failed and experimented, right? So we have to be patient. We have to give it time and give it around 2-3 months, and then look at the results as such. So AI is not magic. We have to kind of be patient with it, and we should be able to overcome all these bottlenecks and hurdles. The biggest being the fragmented mindset, and there are ways and methods of sort of overcoming the fragmented mindset: collaboration, coordination, making sure that we educate the masses out here within the organization what to expect, when to expect, and what are the results.
Right, absolutely. We are in the era of collaboration, like you said, and we are also in the era of customization. And Aruj, if I may come to you, while we are talking about culture and trends and macro shifts that are happening in today's world, hyper personalization is something that consumers demand, is something that employees demand, and AI really simplifies these processes of hyper personalization and customization. So give us a sense of how your clients are gaining a strategic advantage and improving customer closeness with AI. What sort of innovative methods are they using to really personalize their services, also very affordably and effectively?
Sure, brother. Thanks for that question. And I think great insights, because it completely aligns with with what Couchbase really does today, and the reason why it's gaining a lot of momentum in the industry. So practically in today's world, right, personalization is everything, right? Whether you're a bank or a large enterprise, Everybody expects every interaction to be contextual, instant, and of course relevant to him or her, right? And AI is what we're all trying to build, right? So AI is the engine that is making it possible. But as rightly said by everybody, rather, is that the true personalization depends most importantly on data, the way it's stored, the way it's accessed, right? It's distributed, fragmented. You've heard this during the panel as well. And most organizations struggle today because the data sits across legacy and modern systems, which practically don't talk to each other, right? And as mentioned again, siloed, distributed, and of course, we all agree that JSON is the data format, for AI-driven applications. It'll practically be very hard to run or build AI-driven AI applications on relational databases, which clearly needs the scale and performance. And that's where Couchbase really changes the game, right? So we are built for AI-driven real-time personalization. We combine transactions with vector search, with full text search, with enterprise analytics on one unified platform, right? What that means for banks and enterprise, that means smarter fraud detection, instant credit scoring, personalized offers. For enterprises, it could be dynamic pricing, contextual customer experiences that scale, all while keeping performances within like sub-milliseconds. Now, I'll give you two great examples that Couchbase has really done. One, if you've heard of Wibmo, it's a PayU company, and Fico Falcon. They're both in the fraud and risk analytics business. And Wibmo, they manage nearly about 80% of India's banks, and FICO protects about 60 to 70% of the world's debit and credit cards. Now, the core challenge was to process millions of real-time transactions securely under tight SLAs. And with Couchbase, they were able to handle millions of real-time transactions per day with sub-second response times, and were able to identify real-time fraud and make decisions at scale and immediately, and in fact at the edge as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing those examples with us. Well, I want this next round of questions to really be about looking at the future. So, Gaurav, if I may start with you, what, according to you, is the single most important organizational quality that will really help an enterprise realize the complete practical value of its AI deployments in future?
So I think the first and foremost thing is people and culture. I think without that, there can't be any change which can be brought about. And if those two are in sync, then any organization can transform itself. And I guess that starts from the top, and we have to ensure that the teams, the management, and the board, everybody around us are in sync. And if that is done, then I think the route is easy. And I think in terms of capabilities, I think we have seen a lot of cycles come and go in terms of technologies, and I think this is one which is going to be the longest, and this is going to be the most radical. I think it's just the start. I think the biggest change which we'll see is of course at the grassroots. While it will be transformative across levels, but I think at the grassroots level it is going to be extremely maybe painful as well. And what we need to do is those companies which can adopt fast, okay, and fail fast and learn fast from these changes and adapt these changes. Those are the ones which are going to succeed. And these things like agentic AI, we spoke about this. Agentic AI, there are a lot of use cases which can be functional and can turn around within weeks if possible. A lot of companies are doing that. And yet there are areas, for example, coding, where we'll see the adoption of it go and fits and starts over the next decade. But is it here to stay? Of course, it is here to stay. Is it going to transform everybody equally? May not. There are areas where we'll see that companies are adopting fast. There are fields where the skills can be replaced. There are areas where skills can't be replaced. And one has to be smart enough to understand what happens, where it happens, and how can adopt it in which vertical, and where you can see value coming in. And eventually, it can't be about efficiencies only. Okay, you have to also see where it can really add value and transform the business itself. So that's in a nutshell what I feel the future holds.
Right, absolutely. Has to flow top down from the C suite. Fail fast, learn fast, keep experimenting. Good thoughts there. Rajesh, coming to you next. Any tips or tricks to accelerate the AI maturity curve at a bank in particular? Any specific, you know, examples that you can share with us? Any tools, frameworks that you've applied at CSB to really add pace to your AI deployments?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So I think anything new you bring in the environment, success should be tasted as soon as possible. Otherwise, there is significant resistance that start building up at different levels. So uh, do simple stuff. Identify very simple use cases which can give quick result. Case in point, if I have to see my salary slip today, I need to go enter into the HR system, uh, log in, go to a particular option, click there, download, and see the pay slip. What if I have got a prompt and I say, please send the salary slip of Rajesh Chaudhary, employee number this, to this email ID, and that prompt sends the salary slip immediately to either my WhatsApp or either my mail. It's done. So like the number of steps, like 3, 4, 5, 6 steps, we have just cut down into a single step. Very simple, very basic. Uh, not doesn't deal with a lot of complex data, but just gets extract, and suddenly if you put few kiosk at different places in the office building, and you have got a very simple use case, and employees are very happy. They have tasted one simple element of artificial intelligence in their life. So these are the things which helps build trust, confidence, and people start believing that no, AI is possible. It can do things for us. So I think that's what I'll start with: doing simple stuff, keeping it very basic, and delivering success.
Right. Well, absolutely right. But all of that comes at a cost. There is a technology investment to be made. So, Ninad, coming to you with that, in your experience, what are the specific indicators that tell you whether an AI project is ready to scale or not before a business fully commits major resources to it?
To put it very succinctly, I mean, I look at three green lights, before scaling any AI initiative. First being it's accurate and explainable. So it should be accurate, relevant, but it also should be explainable to the organization and the stakeholders. Second being it should be able to be integrated with our other core systems. In isolation, it will never work, because every organization has a lot of other systems, so it should be integratable. Yeah. And however, most crucially, I believe that it has a business owner. It needs a business owner rather than just any tech enthusiast. We all are tech enthusiasts, but can we do it? I mean, in a siloed culture, obviously not. We can't do it alone. So we need the business owner. Without a business owner, no AI initiative will be successful. And this I'm talking about with experience as such. Only then we can move from a concept of like a proof of concept to a proof of value. Nowadays POCs are no more applicable. It is POV, which is proof of value. These are the indicators that I would look at when we talk about AI projects and initiatives are to be ready to be scaled up. Because to be very honest, uh, never scale an AI project just because the CEO was impressed with the demo. Normally what happens, we all would be ready to impress the CEOs, yeah, but that doesn't work out always. The way I would put it very very straightforwardly, uh, you look at demos are like first dates. Okay, these dates, everything looks perfect till you meet the real data. So we need to be cautious, and if you have these green lights for these three indicators, then your AI initiative is all ready to scale up, and that's when you should be able to scale it up.
Right. And I'm sure, as you know, chief technology officers, chief information officers of organizations, you're all going through a bunch of demos every single day when it comes to AI deployments and tools. Ninad, any examples of, when you were really tempted to invest in something, but that turned out to be a shiny object? Perhaps you invested or you didn't invest in it.
Oh yeah, I mean, before even investing, we did a POV, right? And that doesn't take much investments to be done. Of course, we have our own budgets for that, with little budgets for experimenting into AI and especially agentic AI. So we being manufacturing organization, obviously we have this large plants and assembly lines, and we wanted to automate those assembly lines as such. And that's like a dream project for anybody, dream initiatives, right? Especially when it comes to manufacturing. So yeah, we did experiment into it. So what we smartly did is we picked up three plants together and we experimented in a couple of, I mean, these plants and couple of assembly lines. One was a miserable failure, absolutely miserable failure. But fortunately, we did not kind of budget, we did not kind of invest much on that because we knew that this is going to be experiential, right? And then, however, the other two assembly lines and other plants, usually popular, usually successful, we did make a lot of investment in that. But the reason it worked out was because, like I said initially, what was lacking in the first assembly line was the human connect. We actually deployed human connect here, collaboration, and that really turned out to be magical for us. So as a result of which, we then decided to make a lot of investment in this, and this was IoT based projects, right? In terms of this is something which is for assembly line breakdowns. Maybe breakdowns are not supposed to be looked at as something disastrous. These are like our blood, and we are supposed to not have any breakdowns. However, there are, because there are repairs that are required. So what we experimented was, even before certain breakdowns happen, it sends across alerts, and there are robots which are deployed along with humans, which go proactively, and then the repairs are done whilst the assembly line is working fine, and there is zero defect, zero breakdown. That means a 24 by 7 productivity. The assembly line just quickly goes on, and that's a huge success, with at least within our organization as such. So I would suggest that, yeah, there are bottlenecks, there are hurdles, but there are smart ways to deploy this AI and make the correct and right investments as such.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that experience. Well, Aruj, coming to you next, what advice would you give enterprises about organizing their teams, data governance, tech investments, so that AI deployments really move from hype to practical value? They yield lasting practical value for the long term.
Yes, brother. So I'm just going to summarize it. Actually, I mean, great inputs again. Aligned to what really Couchbase is doing today, because the conversations are no more just about storing data, and querying that data. The conversations have gone beyond, where customers are really asking for cloud native, low latency applications, real-time modern app, of course, becoming very evident. Cost reductions, as rightly said by everybody. Scale is becoming a challenge for some of the enterprises. Banks definitely, with the growing scale of UPI volumes and, of course, integrations with other platforms. Fast and responsive analytics working along with transactions. You don't need, platforms. Different platforms have different data services. Vector becoming very evident because everybody trying to build something around AI. They'll need vector behind it, and that's as should not be a separate service altogether. You would definitely want to have that as a part of a single platform that you're already using. And of course, all of that put together, you would love to have this available at the edge. And for most of us, it could be a mobile device that's available, seamlessly available, as well, and available offline as well in most of the cases, most of the use cases that everybody would love to have, right? And well, that's where we trying to support organizations, banks, enterprises, where for basic fundamental requirements, we're not looking at many other data services, which adds a lot of complexity. Customers definitely are looking at reducing cost, simplifying architecture, looking for a multi-model database. Performance is critical, scale is important, and with having built-in analytics rather than having analytics systems built outside of their transaction systems. And of course, we are AI ready at the end of the day. So Mrida, that's my closing comments for today.
Right. Well, absolutely. Thank you so much for those insights. And I'm going to end with a quick rapid fire with all of you. One sentence each. What do you think is the lowest hanging fruit today for an enterprise to really move AI from hype to value for itself? So, Rajesh, if we can start with you. One sentence only.
I think customer service is the area I'll go with.
Customer service it is. Gaurav, what about you?
I think the easiest part is HR. I think that's especially mass interviews which you do, mass hirings. I think that the entire agentic AI can automate the entire workflow.
All right. HR function, lowest hanging fruit for Gaurav. Ninad, what about you?
I think it is the most important aspect is generating revenue, right, for any organization. So I would kind of go in for the revenue generation as such, and I'm sure our friend Aruj would agree with us here. Without the revenue generation, no organization can. It is like the fuel, right? So the lowest hanging fruit would be revenue generation, and the reason I'm saying this is because we successfully deployed that as such. And as a closing comment, I would say AI is like Wi-Fi, no one brags about having it, but you can't work without it anymore.
Well, that's a great analogy. Aruj, final word to you. Lowest hanging fruit for enterprises to move AI from hype to value.
Right, I agree to Ninad. So for me, I think the many conversations that we've had, with many enterprises as well as banks, I think hyper-personalization is becoming extremely important, which is improving the customer journey, and their interactions with the customers. So I think it could be agentic, it could be any form, but hyper-personalization is something extremely, extremely important today.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your incredible insights and your experiences with us. If there's one big takeaway, it's this: AI is not magic, it's math, it's discipline, and above all, it's strategy. The future will not belong to those who just collect data, but to those who can translate data into trust, speed, and real business outcomes. A big thank you to all our panelists today, Gaurav, Rajesh, Aruj, and Ninad. Thank you for sharing such rich perspectives with us. And to everyone watching, and for those of you who tuned in, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. For more such conversations that decode how technology is transforming business, keep watching Couchbase Presents Futureproofing the Data Strategy in association with Moneycontrol. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Couchbase presents Future-Proofing the Data Strategy in association with Moneycontrol.